Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to do a book review. Oh my days, I love book reviews. It has been a hot minute since I did like a video form of a book review because usually I make like a reel about it or like a quick story on my profile, but I actually like to take my time and really discuss findings on books I read. I have like my book collection. I usually like to read about fiction, non-fiction. I don't like fiction. I only read non-fiction. I like the self-help category, but also like the autobiographies, like memoirs of people. And I've read the whole memoir of Jeanette McCurdy. It was amazing, can I already say. I already knew of Jeanette McCurdy. I watched iCarly. I was a huge Nickelodeon kid, but Victorious will always be the better show. Victorious is better than iCarly, but that's like not the point. I find this book very brave, and this is what I really like about myself. What I'm discovering is that I have more empathy towards people that are like, that you see every day, like a celebrity. Because, of course, you have empathy for people, but our brain works in a certain way where if you are exposed a lot of the time, that's my psychology. This is genetology. Like I feel like when you are exposed to people for like long periods of time, like you see them every day on ads, on the streets, on your underwear, on your billboard, on the Sephora store, every single wear, like everywhere, then you kind of get desensibilized. You see that happening with like scandals, cancel culture, and people getting um, less access, like Britney Spears, like those kinds of realms. Um, the public gets like a spell on them, and then at that point we're just left to celebrities. We just think for, oh, you're rich, like what else can you have? But okay, that's also another conversation. The book itself, it's called I'm Glad My Mom Died, and the title is sounds very harsh. It's definitely very harsh, as in our society we don't expect and we don't accept people that are harsh on their parents, and especially not their moms, which I totally understand. Like it's it's definitely not socially okay. But I'm nuanced enough to also say that some people should not be parents. Some people and would gladly admit, actually there's a trend going on with moms admitting that they never would like to be moms, and that's wild because they already be having kids and be saying those things on the internet. Besides the point. But yeah, there are more and more like moms, parents being honest, and okay, that's one thing. Sometimes you didn't have a choice, but a lot of times you have a choice to be a mom, and it's your responsibility to yeah, to be responsible for your kids for at least 18 years straight. And I get it, traumas and things happen, but also I'm very brave for Janet. Actually, we have the same name. Oh, only her name. So random. Her name, you spell it in the French way. My name, you say it in the English way. My name is like Janet, as in Janet Jackson. Janet Jackson, and like Janet is like the French way. But besides the point, I'm very brave for like my fellow Janet, that she took also the part of her responsibility, because we can always look at the parents like I was a victim, my parents did this, but also as a child, as like the victim, you can go to the survival mode. Okay, you can see pattern recognition, you can learn how to actually advocate for yourself. It starts with boundaries. It's not easy, but if you want to continue on in life, you have to do this. You cannot skip this step. Enough about just yeah, discussing the whole dynamic, but this is what the book is all about. I love her writing style. She writes very humorous, but also in a way that you are reading a diary. because there is a point in the book where, should I spoil things? I think if I would, for myself, if I would watch someone book review something, I would like not to have too many spoilers, but I do have to point out, of course, some factors. So if you do not want to hear anything about this book at all, then click off this video. But it's very interesting. It's very, I can just already recommend it if you want to learn and see yourself, parts of yourself in like toxic dynamics, if you want to gain empathy also for yourself and for other people, then this is a very, very nice book. Okay, Jenna McCurdy has been emotionally abused by her mom since young. Her mom put her in this life that her heart was never in it. Janet grew up to be an actor. This book describes Janet going with her mom to like acting gigs and her being perfect, having her hair blonded every single time, having her teeth bleached as a child. It's crazy. The things she had to endure, and which I find very typical, is that you see like a very high demanding mom, and like the parents were still together, but then what you usually see is that the other parent is then like emotionally very distant, and that was like her dad. Describes her dad as very interesting. I really understand her, because the way she is describing him is like she doesn't even know how to describe him. It's like he is not there, but he is there because he must be there, you know. Very, very interesting. um Let me see what else there is to say. Oh yeah. So at one point, Janet gets like famous, and I find it very interesting to know the psychology of someone in that space. You have like amazing life. You buy your own home. You have like famous friends or like acquaintances, but life still moves on. If you don't heal, it's not like fame from an iCarly show or whatever show on Hollywood is gonna make your life better. Like, no. I see that Janet like attracts very toxic relationships. She talks about like the in and outs and the dynamics of those relationships, which, aside from again being famous and having influence, that doesn't protect you from being an enabler in a relationship, being like bamboozled, you know. um what else? There's also a point that she gets therapy, but this is also very eye-opening. Not every therapist is like good for you, not every therapist has your best interest at heart. I find it very interesting that her therapist was so onto the nose. I think she was very intrigued by that she had like a famous client. That's my observation. And that she was very quick to go on award shows with Janet. Very interesting how that can happen, like how in even those types of circles. Yeah, it just says a lot about human psychology. People are still people at the end of the day. What doesn't matter what type of profession they have. There was like a huge, how do you say it, plot twist in this book, which was so like, dang, Janet, your life is very interesting, very, very interesting. Towards like the end, like the last 15 pages of the book, there's such a major plot twist, which I remember being at I remember being at my desk, and I really, it's serious when I had to put the book away and just sit there. I had to put the book away and just wonder, like, what is going on? Sometimes you do this with like a YouTube video or something, but like with a book, what you do is you just put it on the side and you just Actually, I liked it experience. I really liked it. Very, 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 very interesting. What else is there to talk about? The way the title already explains, why she is glad that her mom died. Because at the same time that her mom was her best friend. But how can the best friend hide so much things? This was her own questioning. How can I've gum in my mouth, by the way. If you see me like with my mouth, how can how can she hide such a huge plot twist? This has to do with plot twist. Her mom hid such crucial information from her. Her mom would like claim her to always be on her side, but when Janet is grown up and she is like dating, she is like living alone, her mom is like a glue. She just wants to stick to her, and like her grandma, kind of the same thing, which is very toxic. And when Janet stands up for herself, she gets like basically cussed out. So that gave her like, yeah, just reality check. If like, okay, she is my mom, but at the same time, if this was my friend, I would not tolerate it at this level at this point. Um, so as you read this book, you really get to, if you really give yourself, if you really allow yourself to do it, you get to be in her shoes and feel like the weight going away when her mom unfortunately passes away. So yeah, but the book kind of ends with like Janet visiting the grave just once and coming to the conclusion like, okay, like I just said, like she's my mom, she's my best friend, did so much to me, she's the reason I'm even famous, but I never wanted this life. Janet is so good at self-reflection. My days, she just describes it so clear. Like, read the book. That she just walks off, and she continues to up to this day to be a better person, to work on herself. She's not agreeing to book gigs, to be on the screen again, because that's just not how Janet is. She already pointed out in the book that she wanted to be a writer instead of like an actor, and I can tell that writing is like her passion, because this book is amazing. This book is so, and it also taught me that like, yeah, expectation of what people would like you to do is not the same thing that where your heart is. And also where people say that, where people want you to be good in and where your talent must be, where the money is also not the same, again, with where you truly find joy and heart in. So this lesson also is wrapped up in this book. I highly, highly recommend this. And I hope I am saying everything, because like this book has like more than 300 pages, okay? But I think I put out the best lessons already. I love book reviews. I love it. I really do. Yeah. I love both family dynamics, and yeah, I actually bought this. I will not return it. Usually I return books within 2 weeks. I read this like in 2 days, 3 days. And again, super nice. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.